Hello and welcome to this processing tutorial. We're going to edit up some data of the Pelican Nebula. I took this from my city centre back garden using an OIII camera, and I have 20 minutes of Optilong L quad data. This is RGB data, so just to give us some nice star colours. And then 19 hours and 40 minutes of the new ASCAR E2 data, so that is sulfur 2 and oxygen 3. And then 12 hours of Optilong L ultimate data, so that's hydrogen alpha and O3. And we're going to combine all of these so we get an SHO image with reasonably accurate star colours. So the first thing that I always like to do is to make clones of our integrated stacks, so that if we mess anything up, we go back to the beginning. Then can you see that two of these images are flipped? Yeah, so I prefer this orientation, so we're going to do a bit of fast rotation, rotate 180 degrees on that one, and then that one. Super. Next I'm oversampled, so I'm going to use integer resample to do a bin times 2 equivalent. If you're not sure if you need to do this or not, then I've got an article on urban astrophotography all about that. So first of all, the L quad, 20 minutes, downsample by 2. And then the E2, downsample by 2. And then the ultimate, there we go, downsample by 2. Next, we need to make sure that all these three images are exactly lined up, and to do that we're going to run star alignment. We want to choose one of the images to be our reference image. Let's choose our E2, shall we? Because that looks like it's pretty good quality data. And then our target images, we've got our views here, our L quad 20 minutes and our alt 12 hours. And then we click on the circle, and we get two new images here, which we can apply an unlinked screen transfer function just so we can see them. And we don't need the originals, so I'm going to close that. Close that. Oops. Alrighty. Now, if you've got eagle eyes, you might notice that there's some black borders over this, and there might be on the other one as well. What we need to do is crop them all with exactly the same crop. So we look for the image that has the biggest black bars, which I think is just this one here. We're going to go to dynamic crop, and we hold down Control to maintain the aspect ratio, and we just crop in just so that we can't see any of the black border bit. Do a little bit more just to be safe. And then we want to apply this crop to all three images. So the best way to do that is to click and hold on the triangle and apply it to this image, and then this image, and then click the tick, and it will do it for the final one. And now all these three images should be exactly aligned. Now I want to run image solver on these so that PixInsight has information about them. So we go to script, astrometry, that's it, isn't it? And then image solver, and click OK. And then the same for the E2, and then finally the same for our alt. Great. Next we need to remove the gradients from the background. Gradients screw everything up, and they're particularly bad when we're imaging from cities because of all the light pollution we have. My current favourite method and the easiest thing to do for gradient removal is Automatic DBE, which is a free plugin from SETI Astro. Thank you, SETI Astro. And I'm just going to leave all these on the defaults. So let's run that on the L quad. And if we run some unlinked STF, so we can see the gradient there that's been removed. Okay, we don't need that one. And let's run it on the E2. Looking good. And then we're going to run it on the OIII Ultimate data. Alright, we've done quite a bit of work on these images, so it's probably a good time to make some clones. So we're going to call that LQuad, and the last thing we did was dynamic background extraction. And we'll make a clone. And rename this E2E. Make a clone. Alt E and make a clone. So if we need to go back to that step, we've got all the files there. Next thing we're going to run is Blur Exterminator, which will help to sharpen our images a little bit. Now, in Blur Exterminator, you can tick automatic PSF. PSF is point spread function. It's like a measure of how blurry the stars are. It's totally fine to do that. I find I get slightly better results if I go to render PSF image, and I think this might be a free plugin, and I evaluate each image individually to calculate its PSF rather than having Blur Exterminator do that within its process. What we want is to look for the two full width half maximum values, and we roughly calculate kind of what's in between the two, so let's say 1.3 for that, and we're going to input that as our PSF 1.3, and I'm going to leave everything else on the defaults and then run that on the LQuad data. Right, that one's done, and now we're going to repeat that whole process for the E2 data. So I'm going to go to PSF image and evaluate. And the number between these two would be about 1.26, wouldn't it? 1.26, so let's put that in here. 0.26, and then run that. And finally that whole process again, but this time for the ultimate data. So we're going to render PSF image and evaluate. And between these two, it'd be 1.35, wouldn't it? So let's put in 1.35 and then run that. Okay, all done. Next, we're going to do some color calibration on our images, and to do that, I'm going to run SPCC, Spectrophotometric Color Calibration. First of all, for our LQuad data here. Oh yes, we need to calculate some background to neutralize, and the best way to do that is SETI Astro again. We're going to go to Find Background and search. Give that just a moment and it will find an area of blank background that we'll use for our SPCC. There we go, done that automatically. So load up SPCC. This is broadband data, so all of this is fine. Region of interest from preview and the background that has just been calculated, and then we're going to run that. Okay, we've got a funky looking graph here. We can close that. We can delete that background, and if we want we can run an unlinked STF just to get our data back so we can see it there. Now we're going to do the same thing here for the E2 data, so we're going to go to SETI Astro and find background. Now note that SPCC is not really designed for these dual band filters that I'm using here, the ASCAR E2 and the OIII Ultimate, and other similar ones like the L Extreme or the ASCAR D2. So officially this is not what you should do, but I find that it works fine, so why not? Bandwidth is 3 and the region of interest is the new one that we found, the new background. So let's run that on the E2 data. Okay, close that, delete that, and then finally for the ultimate data. So we need to calculate our background, find that. Now we've got that, we can find it here and then run. Okie dokie. Alright, Right, shall we make some clones of these in case we mess anything up? L-quad SPCC, because the SPCC is the last thing that we did. Put the clone over there. E2 SPCC. Put the clone over there. And ultimate SPCC. Put the clone over there. Next step is to stretch our stars, and then remove the stars. So what we need to do is stretch this star data here. That's the broadband L quad to a non-linear state. Easiest way to do that. SETI Astro again. Going to do a statistical stretch. Let's get a preview, and we don't really care about the nebulosity. We just want to see some stars in there. Let's boost the curves and see what that looks like. Good thing about this is you just play about with the settings and then you can see what looks good. So it looks very washed out, but I'm not too bothered about that because it's the stars that we're most interested in. Okay, let's go with that. Execute. And now what we want to do is remove these stars. And in order to do that, I'm going to make a clone, and then on one of the clones I'm going to run StarNet2. We've just stretched the data, so we don't need to have linear data checked anymore. We're going to run that, and it's going to take the stars out of this image. Then we want a neat little script which is in Utilities, and it's called Screen Stars. This is a free plugin from Mike Cranfield and Bill Blanchard, so you'll need to download this one separately. What we're doing is we are removing stars. So our star review is the one with the stars in, that's L-quad SPCC. And our starless view is the one that we've just taken the stars out of, L-quad SPCC clone 1. And then we're going to click on the tick. And ta-da! Just the star field. Don't need those other two that we were working on. And I like to boost the colours of the stars a bit, just to give them a bit more pop. So to do that, I'm going to go to Colour Saturation, click on that little circle so we get a real-time preview, and I'm going to find the tiny little yellow square here, and I'm going to drag that almost up to the top, and that's just going a global saturation boost. I'm going to click on the square to apply that. Then close that, close the preview, and our stars will come back to as one of the final steps. For now, we're just going to put it out of the way up there. What we want is our two views here. Now we don't need our stars in here, so what we're going to do is remove them. And it's easier than before because we don't need to keep the stars at all. So it's just a simple procedure. I'm going to use StarNet2. We haven't stretched the data for these, so it's still linear. Let's run StarNet2 first on the Alt, and then on the E2. Now what we want to do is combine these two images so that we have an SHO image out at the end of it. And the best way to do that is SETI Astro again. Thank you, SETI Astro. Oh no, it's not, is it? Sorry, it's oh, hang on. No, my mistake. Is SETI Astro? It is Perfect Palette Picker. Here we want to choose our OIII Hydrogen Alpha 03 dual band. So that is this one here, the Alt SPCC, which is, where's it gone? There it is, Alt SPCC, and the S203 is our E2 SPCC. We haven't stretched yet, so we're keeping this linear input data checked, and when we create the palettes then it will stretch as part of that, which is pretty convenient. So let's click Create Palettes. Give it just a moment to run through its process. And what we'll get is lots of options here. Yeah, this is looking good. Zoom out a bit. So we've got some pretty neat ones here. Lots of different options. Or you can choose multiple ones. Whichever you click is going to appear. I'm going to go, I think, let's click on Realistic 2 and 4-ax, see what they look like. Hey, not bad. These look pretty good. I think I'm going to minimize the 4-ax. And we're going to minimize these ones. And let's go with what's called a realistic 2. Because I just think the colours in that look a little bit nicer. This is our stretched image. And perhaps we should make a clone of it. Let's call it combined, shall we? And now there's various bits and bobs we can do to this image to make it pop a little bit more. It's quite noisy. Should we do some noise reduction from the off? Yeah, why not? So I could go to Noise Exterminator, make sure we're using the current version, and let's put this fairly high, 0.7, and run that to help remove some of the noise in the image. Okay, it's a fair bit smoother now. And perhaps some curves, just so that it pops a bit more. Alter our contrast levels there. Looking good. And then, should we run some unsharp mask? We'll sharpen everything up. Don't want to do this too much, easy to overcook it. So if I click on this little square here and zoom in, we can see when the image, so you can see, oh, way too much, not enough. So play about with it until it looks sharper but not too crunchy. Run with that, click the square, and that will apply it to everything. Okay, I'm going to make a clone of that. The next thing to do is to play about with the colours. So to do that, we want, I always forget where it is, selective colour correction. Here we go. And we can choose different colours to modify from up here, and then play about with these settings until everything is as we like. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So I've just finished out the first bit of playing about. I went to the yellow mask, and these are the settings that I think look quite nice. Boosted the magenta, taken the yellow down a little bit, taken the blue down quite a bit, boosted the illumination, saturation and contrast. You can change the before and after there. Now what you have to remember though is once you're happy with that settings for one particular mask, you have to click apply. And then that will apply it to your base image, and then you can go and choose a different mask and repeat the process. It's just playing about with different ones, seeing what looks good, trying to make progress in small steps. And this is what I settled on next. I just cut out me playing about with them because you don't really need to see that. But I think it looks quite nice if I change the blue mask and take a little bit of the yellow out, a little bit of the red out, and then boost the saturation of that blue quite a bit, and its luminance and its contrast a little bit as well. I think that just looks a bit nicer. So I'm going to apply that. You get the idea. You can try different things quite a lot. It's a very powerful tool, is this particular function, the palette picker. And now we've got the colours looking quite nice, and we're not far off done actually. There are various other things we could do, of course, like one of my favourites is dark structure enhance. I find the default at 0.4 is a bit too much. Let's just put it to 0.3, and that should make these darker areas pop out even more. Just a little bit. And maybe play about with our curves some more. And you just keep going as much as you want. But for now, because this video is getting a little bit long, I think that we should put the stars back in. So to do that, we're going to find our screen stars again. And then this time, it's star replacement that we want, isn't it? So the star review. Oh, sorry, star replacement. So the starless view is this one that we've just been working on here, which is called combined. And then the stars view is just called stars. That was from earlier. And then we're going to click on the tick, and that's going to put our stars back in. Oops. That's going to put our stars back in. And then as a first step, we did integer resample, didn't we? So we can get our resolution back now by going to starry, which is what this one is called, and this time we're going to upsample. There we go. And for now, just for this quick tutorial, I'm going to declare this is finished. Take your time when you're actually doing it properly. I'll probably make a few more tweaks, a few more adjustments, but you get the idea. I think this is a pretty good result from our source data. Thank you very much. I hope this was useful.